Do.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. So as we begin this service together, I just want to make a few comments about our service because it's so wonderful that we have guests and who are not necessarily familiar with the rhythm of our service. So we have a prayer book that is blue. You're welcome to follow along if you'd like. There are some times when we read responsively. If you'd like to read along, you're welcome to do so, and if not, that's fine too. The only one thing that I do ask is that when I ask the congregation to please rise, certain prayers that we say are standing up, and that's out of respect for God. I would just ask that you please rise when I ask the congregation to rise if you are physically able to rise. If you are physically not able, then absolutely stay seated. That's perfectly fine. But for those who are physically able, please rise. And so we stand and sit a couple times during the service. So tonight I have the honor of sharing the bima with Aviv Naamani. He's one of our vocalists here who helps song lead. And Rich Golden is streaming on YouTube. So if anyone wanted to go back and share this with your friends or who couldn't make it here tonight and wanted to see tonight's service, it's always available. It lives on the internet under YouTube. We're going to begin on page 10 with the singing of Hine Matov, which means how good and wonderful it is when brothers and sisters join together.
Hine ma tov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov, shevet achim gam yachad. shevet achim gam yachad, hine ma tov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad, hine ma tov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad.
I also want to wish Shabbat Shalom to everyone who is on YouTube. I know we got off to a little later start than normal. We had a special oneg, so my apologies for starting a bit late. At this time, we're going to continue on page 3 as I invite Eden and Robin and Sharon to the bima to light our Shabbat candles. Page 3, and then the blessing is on page 2.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light.
So much for high tech. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. And a happy anniversary to Sharon and Ed. Happy anniversary to Sharon and Ed. 59 years yesterday. Mazel tov. May you have many more years of wedded bliss together. In the book of Genesis, we are taught that each of us is created b'tselem Elohim, in the image of God. And that means everyone, every single human being, whether they're able-bodied or they have some type of disability, each is a child of God. And we're also read in the book of Isaiah, "For my house shall be a house of prayer for all people." People can face a disability at any time. Some may be born with a disability, and others can become disabled due to an accident or from growing older. Some of our members have visible disabilities, and some have invisible disabilities. And we need to make sure that we are meeting the needs of all of our congregants. We might need to get hearing devices for some folks to make it easier to hear, or large print prayer books for those who are having a harder time reading. But because each of us is created in the image of God, each of us has value, and each of us deserves to be valued. It is our collective responsibility to ensure that our congregation, our house of worship, is welcoming to all. I'm going to ask everyone to please rise as we continue on page 146 with the Baruch Hu, our call to worship.
Ya la 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 la. La 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. La 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 la. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach, HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. HaMevorach, HaMevorach le'olam va'ed.
Please be seated. For those who are in a synagogue for the first time, if you're wondering what was in our ark, each one is a Torah scroll. It's the writing by hand from the beginning of Genesis all the way through the end of Deuteronomy. At this time, I would like to invite Avery Kohlers, the chair of our Tikkun Olam committee, to the bima to offer some remarks.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
This week, we mark the 33rd anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities Act, signed into law by President George H. Bush in 1990. The ADA is one in the great tradition of civil rights laws this country has enacted and attempted to live up to, starting with the Civil Rights Act of 1866, the Ku Klux Klan Act of 1871, the Civil Rights Act of 1964, the Voting Rights Act of 1965, and the Fair Housing Act of 1968. Most directly, the ADA adds disability to the list of so-called suspect classifications, classifications that cannot be used as a basis for discriminating against people. Other suspect classifications in federal law include race, gender, religion, age, and national origin. Interestingly, all of these classifications are just that, classifications. In the first instance, they're not identities, and as classifications, they're socially constructed. There is biologically no such thing as race, and yet it's possible and all too common to discriminate against people on the basis of race. I mention this point because it's particularly significant when we're talking about disability. Disability isn't a thing, it's a relationship between the capacities of a body or embodied mind in a particular time and place and the demands of the human, social, and built environment. My myopia is not considered a disability because I can easily afford lenses that restore my vision to a more comfortable level, nor is my inability to multiply large numbers in my head a disability because no one expects me to do so, and no one would blame me for whipping out a calculator when I need to. However, lacking the use of one's legs is a disability when and because a society is built around the assumption that people can climb stairs at any time and normally stand a certain height tall. One of the benefits of the ADA is that it encourages us to think about accessibility as a collective project touching every institution and event. It encourages us to think of disability as a problem with how our institutions are built and function, not as a problem with how people are built and function. Further, while some suspect classifications are assigned to us at birth, like race or gender, and people most often keep them for their whole life, disability is more often a time of life rather than a feature of a whole life. Most of us go through shorter or longer periods of disability and periods during which people impute disabilities to us and make assumptions about us on that basis. The ADA defines disability as follows. A person with a disability is someone who has a physical or mental impairment that substantially limits one or more major life activities, has a history or record of such an impairment, such as cancer that's in remission, or is perceived by others as having such an impairment, such as a person who has scars from a severe burn. I just took that from the ADA federal government website. As this definition shows, most of us find ourselves disabled in some ways at some times. So another benefit of the ADA is that it encourages us to overcome our fears and stereotypes and to recognize that disability is also you and me. This is not to say that we all face the same challenges, far from it. It falls to those who pass in and out of disability over the course of our lives to link arms with those who are more marginalized, to not be satisfied with half measures that only help the most fortunate, to move beyond non-discrimination to positive love, friendship, acceptance, advocacy, empowerment, and inclusion. To be Jewish in America is to be part of a community that's identified on the basis of a suspect classification, and therefore it's to be intimately aware that civil rights laws protect us. It was the black-led struggles of the 1860s and 1950s and 60s that achieved the victories that assured Jews of equal treatment, and it was the struggles led by disabled people in the 1970s and 80s and beyond, eventuating in the ADA, that achieved the victories that protect all of us as we go through periods of disability over our life course. But of course, a law forbidding discrimination is not the same as the positive realization of full inclusion and celebration of disability justice. It's no criticism of the ADA to say there's tons of work to do. So that's why I want to particularly thank Rabbi for coordinating the Disability Pride Shabbat, and I want to thank Eden Scarborough and Mark Pfeiffer of Wiggle Wow and Jennifer Frohmeyer and the community from Dreams with Wings for joining us on this Disability Pride Shabbat. And I particularly want to thank Jennifer because she's late to her daughter's birthday party. So.
Good job.
Avery, you'll use this from now on, so you don't have to use a staff.
Thank you, Avery. At this time, we continue on page 149 as we rise for Shema Yisrael, the watchword of our faith, declaring there's one God in heaven and on earth. Please rise if you are physically able to do so.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Va'ed. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Please be seated as we join together in English on page 150 with words that come from the book of Deuteronomy and the book of Numbers. 150. We join together. You shall love Adonai your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. Take to heart these instructions with which I charge you this day. Impress them upon your children. Recite them when you stay at home and when you are away, when you lie down and when you get up. Bind them as a sign on your hand and let them serve as a symbol on your forehead. Inscribe them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. Thus you shall remember to observe all my commandments and to be holy to your God. I am Adonai your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I am Adonai your God. Adonai Elohechem Emet. As Jews, we remember that we were slaves in Egypt, and we remember that we were freed by God's mighty hand when the Sea of Reeds split. I can only imagine that some with disabilities, especially before the American Disabilities Act came into being, that in ways that they might not have felt free to go places when there weren't ramps, free to access buildings because they couldn't get in. Perhaps in restrooms, things were not accessible if they were in a wheelchair and things were too high. We didn't have the sensitivity, and that trapped some people and prevented people from doing things that they deserve to be able to do. So tonight, as we sing Mi Chamocha, which recalls our historical freedom, tonight it's timely to think about what else can we do to bring more freedom, more accessibility into the lives of our loved ones who are disabled in one fashion or another. Page 152.
Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha ne'edar ba'kodesh, nora tehilot osef eleh. Malchutecha ra'u vanecha, bokei hayam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam, ze'eli anu ve'amru, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed.
I now invite Avery back to the podium.
Now I'm going to be very brief, I swear. My job now is just to introduce our next speaker. I was fortunate enough to meet Jennifer Frohmeyer almost 20 years ago when we were both on the neighborhood association, and she's low-key one of my heroes because of her work as founding executive director of Dreams with Wings, doing amazing stuff in our community for so many people. That's really all I'm going to say, because you'll do it so much better than I will. So welcome, and thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you, Avery, and thank you all for having us. And I was telling Rabbi earlier, it's a pleasure to be back here. My husband is the principal at St. Francis of Assisi Catholic School, and we have done a lot of things collectively over the years with Mr. Whitaker and your congregation, and we're just so happy to be here. I've been here for many things in the past. So really all I want to share with you tonight is a little bit about my path and my journey and why I love what I do and some of our programs. And I do have several folks with us tonight, but in a little bit I think George and Jamisha may finish up my little piece with some of their personal experiences. But my path to Dreams with Wings started years ago. I had worked in the disability field as a young person in high school, teaching swimming lessons. I started my career in the recreation field. And so I'd been around people with disabilities my entire life. And my first child was born with Down syndrome, and I remember all the doctors coming into the room and wondering, how are we going to tell her this? And I was like, I told my husband, just go out there and tell them it's all okay. We're going to be fine. We've worked with people with Down syndrome our whole life. So my journey with Derek has been wonderful. It's funny seeing Tammy here tonight and knowing that she worked with Derek in high school. So I continued my path working in the disability field, and about in the year 2000, it really became clear that some of the programs that existed at that time didn't really offer opportunities for inclusion. We had homes in the community, but they were a home. They were a roof over somebody's head. There weren't connections to people and the community. So that became our first venture. We're gonna do housing. We're gonna provide homes for these people with activities, and one thing led to another. At the core of all of it is recognizing the human dignity God gave to all of us and the need to have that and feel that. And certainly the men and women and children we work with all experience and want that as well. So as we celebrate Disability Pride Month, I think some of the things that are so key to the foundation of who we are as humans and our connection to God is the acceptance of all of us for who we are and what we do, the respect for the individual differences we all hold. Thank goodness we're not all alike. The world would be pretty boring. Unconditional love that we share with people despite who we are, and that all of our neighbors have gifts, talents, and things that we can share along with limitations. That friendship is integral to who we are, and it was one thing that's unique about our earth is the ability to connect with people, and inclusion in the community makes us all better. So we are all challenged to be the best we can be, whether we have a disability or not. And so our role, those of us who are not disabled, so to speak, we all are in some way, but we have to model what is right in our community and what is right in our world and recognize how much we can learn from each other. So I want to share with you, again, just some of the programs that we have and then share a little bit about each of the wonderful people I have here with me tonight. So as I said, our journey started to provide housing for people, so people had a place to live in the community. And as we started venturing out and recognizing people need an active, meaningful day, we weren't finding that, so we started a day program. So our housing situation today, we have 11 homes where people live with 24-hour supervision. Staff support is necessary. We have 24 apartment units where men and women live independently. And we have 5 people living in homes with families who have been gracious enough to have someone come live in their home. Those people during the day attend what we call an adult day training program, some of them. So our day program offers a plethora of opportunities. A lot of our folks volunteer. They are very active in the community. Often we are located in the Highlands. I laugh, we have a great relationship with the Dad's Coffee Shop. Our guys walk in and their cups of coffee are lined up with their names on their cups, and they are welcome to stay as long as they want. We walk, we volunteer, we're at the mall, we play basketball, we've got folks going to the Y again. Clearly some of our programs were halted during the pandemic, but we're slowly getting back like the rest of us. We have therapies within that program. We offer occupational, physical, speech, and behavior supports for all of our folks that need those. We also have a summer camp program. Again, that was when I came to the sudden realization that Derek was entering high school and there was nowhere for him to go in the summer. And he had no connections to the outside world. He wasn't able to go to the YMCA anymore. And so we started a summer camp program. That first summer, we served 12 youth. This summer, we have 98 teens enrolled from the ages of 7 to the age of 21. Our goal remains within that program for kids to be able to go to regular school programs. But unfortunately, some of our folks have some challenges that make that difficult. So our autism camp serves children as young as 7. Within that group goes every day out into the community. That's the core of what we believe. Today they were at Bernheim, yes, and then we also had some folks come in from Shakespeare, but you'll find them at River Run, the Splash Park over in Indiana. They play putt-putt golf, they go to the movies, they do everything that every other child in our community gets to experience in the summer. We have one-on-one supports for folks living in our apartment, folks living at home with their parents. They need assistance in getting folks out into the community. We have a new, I'd say it's new, teen and young adult program. It's really about 5 years old. We realized that our teens were not getting connected during the school year. And so we started that program, and then COVID hit. So we learned how to do all that virtually, and thank goodness for schools and teachers. Kids knew technology. We were really worried how that was going to work, but we spent a whole summer of summer camp on Zoom doing a lot of fun things. So now camp is back open and the teen program in person, but it was really a challenge that summer to run both those programs virtually. And we have a fantastic supported employment program. We have a team of 4 people that work on ensuring folks have jobs, that want jobs. There are different ways to work in our community. There are programs that do jobs where they're housed within that community, like they might do mailings or they might do other things. We decided that our vision and our mission, based on what our families expressed at the time, was to offer jobs and to do placements based on individual interest and need in the community. So we have folks working at print shops, we have folks working at Walgreens, we have folks working at Kroger's, we have folks working in the restaurant industry. We want our folks to be making and earning minimum wage. We feel like a broad array of employment services are important. That's the piece of the pie that we have carved, and we are so thankful for our other partners who have looked at other ways to provide employment. There is nothing more meaningful to many of us than getting a paycheck. And I can tell you our folks' favorite day is to get paid and go to the bank, make their deposit, get their cash out for the week, and be able to budget and plan how they're going to spend their resources that week. So in a nutshell, those of us with or without disabilities all want the same thing. We want that human connection. We want a friend. We want to work. We want to make the world a better place, and I can tell you the men and women that are here with me today all have that very same feeling. Angie has worked for many years at McDonald's. She's taken a hiatus. Lizzie has worked at McAllister's, very involved. Nancy worked at a press shop until she, as the rabbi said, she also had a physical issue and had to have some surgery, and so she's had to step away. But these ladies have been involved in our program for anywhere from 23 to probably 15 years, I guess, 15 to 23 years. They live in their own home. They have a very full and active life, and they love coming to things like this and telling their story. And George and Jamisha, if you want to come up real quick, they're part of our teen and young adult program. They're laughing. But I can tell you, Janice is a wonderful artist. She has a very creative style. Eden, on the other hand, is also part of our teen and young adult program. It's so nice to see how full Eden's life is. Both of these ladies have very wonderful artistic talents. Eden was part of a program at Westport High School called Not in My School, and she was part of a play. Jamisha's been in a play. She loves drumming, right?
Right. So what should I say?
Well, what? Do you want to tell them about what programs you participate in? Tell them your favorite thing. That's all you have to do. Tell them what you love.
Art.
You want to tell them about your art show at the Little Loom House?
Yeah.
What about it?
I painted a piece, different pieces,
She
and, and with an artist
Yes,
name, I forgot her name.
It was a side-by-side art exhibit that we did with artists in our community that came in and worked, and you had a lovely exhibit at the Little Loom House that was up for 4 weeks, I think, 4 or 6 weeks. And we had lots of visitors to that program, and Jamisha's extremely talented and has a very unique style. Right?
Yes,
She loves to play Uno. Anything else?
I like doing art.
I know she does. But thank you. These opportunities help give us a voice and help us share our stories of inclusion and the love of all the things you all love. And I appreciate your community welcoming us here tonight and giving us this opportunity. And I'm sure these ladies down here will be here afterwards if you have any questions of them.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Jamisha.
Thank you so much, Jennifer, for your inspiring words and for, we're so glad that everyone from Dreams with Wings is with us. When Jennifer was speaking, it reminded me years ago when I was teaching her a 7th grade religious school class, and we were talking about different mitzvot, different commandments, and different ways of making the world a better place, and someone invented a Braille beeper. And somebody asked, why a Braille beeper? And the answer was, because that was before cell phones and such, for the same reason that anybody would want a beeper, right? So it's the same point that what Jennifer was saying. Just because a person has a disability doesn't mean that they don't have the same desires and want the same things and be able to experience life fully. So thank you, Jennifer, for your inspiring words and all the important work that you do at Dreams with Wings. In the book of Leviticus, our Torah teaches, "You shall not insult the deaf or place a stumbling block before the blind." Historically, people with disabilities, unfortunately, were often regarded in light of visible impairments such as physical, communication, and sensory disorders. Judaism recognizes that people can have disabilities that are not visible, including but not limited to being on the autism spectrum, having a learning disability, issues with executive functioning, or mood disorders. Regardless of whether a disability is apparent or not, Judaism understands that because each person is unique, accommodations must be made to meet their needs so that they too can fully participate in life in meaningful ways. And how fortunate we are to have some folks who are literally doing that and modeling that, and I gain strength from all of you, from your art, from where you work, right? It inspires me to appreciate not only what I have, but what you offer to our society. At this time, I'm going to invite Eden Scarborough to come on up and share some of her thoughts with us.
Right here. There we go. Hi, everyone. Thanks for coming.
No, I just said hi, you said hi everyone, and I said hi Eden.
I really want to thank Mr. Mark for welcoming me to the Wiggle Wow community. where we get to spread love for people and their dogs. I feel a lot of love at Vigor because the main ingredient in our dog treats is love. Mr. Mark inspires me and gives me confidence to look for more job opportunities. Mr. Mark and me are blessed with so many people in our lives. I'm so lucky to have a chance to not give up on life because God is there with me all the time, even when I'm down, sick, or injured. Having pulmonary hypertension and Down syndrome can be tough, as you can tell. It's hard to make friends and find things to do. I feel so lucky that Dreams with Wings gives me so many opportunities to make friends, to learn about life, and even have drama classes, which is right up my alley. Of course. Thanks for everything you guys do for us, Jennifer. I would like to thank my baby and papa, who also inspired me, and Rabbi for having us all here tonight.
Thank you. You did a beautiful job. I love you. Our lyrics.
That's a tough act to follow, huh? Isn't she awesome? So that's the pleasure I have every single day working in the Wiggle Wow commercial kitchen we call the Doghouse, is seeing people, all of our staff, similar to Eden, our epic chefs, come in, and I've had so many parents tell me that they never thought they'd see the day that their son or daughter would do fill in the blank, right? Just because the opportunities that God's opening up. So let's scale back a little bit. Let's play a little game. How many people here, when they were little, right? When you were little, you always said, what do you want to be when you grow up, right? How many people wanted to make dog treats when they grew up? Yeah, neither did I. But you know what? How many of us have ever felt the tap on the shoulder, the whisper in our ear, or the thought in our mind where God said, I want you to do this? And our response was, oh, but God, I'm working on this, or I don't have time because I'm so busy doing these other things. Can anyone relate to that? Have you ever felt that? Yeah, so there are multiple times in my life where I felt the same thing. And I don't have time to go into all the details, but God had a special occurrence that occurred in my life that absolutely was impossible, but He got my attention. And one day I was speaking to my brother who lived in the Philippines, and it's his son, my nephew, that has severe autism. He has a 200-word vocabulary, and I really feel that God spoke to him directly through me when He said, I want you to quit corporate America, and I want you to start a company that provides short and long-term opportunities for adults with special needs. And I was like, okay, because I was making great money in corporate America, and I'm like, okay, so what does this look like, little brother? And we kicked around some different ideas, and nothing he was recommending, because he's in the Philippines, right? So he has the Food Network, and he said, I think cupcake and muffin shops would really go over well. And I'm like, yeah, maybe San Francisco, maybe New York City, not in Louisville, Kentucky, right? And so I said, well, you know, why don't we pray about it? Let's kick some ideas around and we'll see what we can come up with. I'm definitely open to it. So he sends me an email a few days later and says, I got it. Let's open a candy shop. I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to get out of bed going, yes, let's pump kids full of sugar today. That's going to make me feel great, right? No. So I literally prayed about it for 3 days, and I was like, all right, I'm going to give God a break for 2 days. He's heard me whining enough about it. I need some direction. So I went to my bride, and her name's Kathy, and I said, hey, babe, I've been talking to Sheldon, and he wants me to start a company to provide employment for adults with special needs. Right off the bat, she said, you should do something in the dog industry. Well, being the good husband I am, it went in this ear, out the other, and I said, honey, that's a great idea. Never thought another thing about it. That was on Friday. I'm working from home on Monday, and at noon in April 2014, CNN was doing a recap of our down economy in 2013. I know I can't remember yesterday, but I still remember this. So 2013, our economy was horrible. The only industry to increase in revenue in 2013 was the pet industry. So God used a 6x6, hit me upside the head. I went back to my bride with my tail between my legs and said, honey, you're absolutely right. We will do something related to dogs. And that was the genesis of Wiggle Wow. So why start a company to employ adults with special needs? Well, why not? Are you aware that for every 100 people with special needs in America today that want a job and are able to actually work, only 15 of them get a job? Have anyone here ever been turned down for a job when you applied for it? How did that feel? Feel like crap, don't you? If you get turned down 2 times in a row, now you kind of feel like a failure, right? You're like, oh my gosh, am I ever going to be able to do it? One of our epic chefs, I get really emotional when I talk about this. One of our epic chefs was turned down for 20 years. No one would give her a chance. Imagine that. She came through the door, and I said, you know what? Wiggle Wow will find a place for you. And she has flourished. Her parents said they never imagined. Before Wiggle Wow, they were struggling. She's in severe depression. They would struggle to even get her out of bed sometimes. Now she's already dressed, showered, eaten, ready to go at 7 a.m., and she doesn't even need to be at work until 10. That's what having a purpose does for all of us. And just what Jennifer said, just like Rabbi said, they don't have any different desires than you and I do. They look forward to taking mom and dad out to lunch and paying the bill. They look forward going to work and enjoying spending time with their friends. They do have all the same desires that we do. So it's kind of crazy how God has taken a little dog treat company and he's using it to transform not only the lives of our epic chefs, but their friends and family as well. And so one little thing I'll kind of share with you, another thing that a lot of people aren't aware of, if you ask any parent of a special needs family member what their number one concern is, they would tell you, who's going to take care of my son or daughter when I die? That's something most of us never even think about, is it? Right? Your kids grow up, they go to college, they go off, they're on their own. Way to go, I succeeded as a parent. That's not the case for a lot of our special needs families, right? That haunts them. I have so many parents that tell me that their number one bill they pay every month is their life insurance bill. Let that sink in for a little bit. Yeah. I thought I knew what it was like to have a special needs family member because I could hear what was going on with my brother from my nephew. Well, they moved in with us for 6 months. That's when God showed me what it truly was like to be a special needs family. You can know someone, you can be friends with someone. I mean, honestly, I'm not trying to put anyone on the spot here. I know a lot of you know Eden's family, and you may think, oh, okay, I know what it's like to walk a week in their shoes. It is totally different. And so what God is using Wiggle Wow to do is to not only make a difference in the families, but Wiggle Wow, the reason we're a for-profit company and not a non-profit company, what a lot of people don't realize is as a non-profit company, you cannot will anything with a nonprofit to anybody. So for example, if I even started a nonprofit company, if the board voted me out, I take nothing with me. So I leave the company and I move on. As a for-profit company, you can actually take, so for example, what Wiggle Wow is going to do is we will offer franchises to families so they can buy a Wiggle Wow franchise. Only families with special need members will have the opportunity to get a Wiggle Wow franchise, but then they'll be able to put that franchise into a trust so that after mom and dad pass, the profits from the franchise and that trust will still care for their son or daughter after they're gone. That's what makes Wiggle Wow different. Wiggle Wow is not just about making a buck, just having a job. I think if Eden had the opportunity, she would tell you that some of her closest friends, even her boyfriend, she met at Wiggle Wow. Is that true, Eden? Yeah. That is true. Yep. So I too want to thank you, Rabbi, for this opportunity. A lot of people say, well, what can we do to help Wiggle Wow? 80% of the people have a dog. And I used to be the guy that would go to Feeder Supply and buy the 3-pound bag of dog food for like $4, $5. I didn't really ever look at the ingredients to see what was in it. And then as God put on our heart to start this business, I started researching about how many dogs die every year because the owners don't pay attention to what they're giving their dogs to eat or as treats. We poison our bodies with sugar all the time. Dogs should not have sugar. We're not supposed to have sugar either, but we eat it anyway. And so that's why the treats that we make, they don't have any sugar in them. They have oats, bacon, eggs, a little bit of salt, vitamin E, and what, Eden? A lot of love, that's right. And then our ice treats only have tapioca starch, yogurt powder, and milk fats. So there's nothing harmful in our treats. And yes, several of our staff eat them. I eat them. There's nothing harmful in our treats. So I thank God for this opportunity. It is amazing if you just take the time to listen to God. It is amazing the doors that he will open if you just give him the opportunity. So many times I honestly believe God is trying to get our attention, doing things in our lives, but we get so caught up in what's going on for that day or get caught up in the world, we don't take the time to recognize his action at work all the time. I thank God that he's in control and that Mark Pfeiffer's not. If you ever look at one of my business cards, the first thing underneath Mark Pfeiffer is not president, CEO, founder, it's child of God. Because you know what's more important than anything else? That we all recognize that we are his children made in his image. All the rest will fall into place if you remember that. So thank you for this opportunity. I'm blessed to be here. It's so great meeting many of you. Is it Shabbat Shalom?
It is.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. God bless you. Thank you. Wow. We have had inspirational speakers tonight. And I want to say to everybody, buy Wiggle Wow, donate to Dreams with Wings, because the impact that the company and the organization is making in the lives of members of our community is clearly huge. Not that long ago, I had the opportunity to talk with Eden as we ate some ice cream. And she told me all about Wiggle Wow. I have to be honest and say, I didn't know about Wiggle Wow until Eden told me about it. And she was so excited about Wiggle Wow, about her job, about the boyfriend that she had at the time. I know you broke up, he moved away, but she was so excited about that. And the friends that she made at work. And I can only imagine for you ladies, it must be similar as well. And so I am grateful that all of you have come here to share your stories, to share a piece of your story, part of your heart with us. And I hope in return, each of us at our own level of ability can support these two wonderful organizations so that they can continue to make positive impacts in the lives of others. The Mishnah, an ancient Jewish text, teaches the following: a human being mints many coins from the same mold, and they are all identical. But the Holy One, blessed be God, strikes us all from the mold of the first human, and each one of us is unique. How true is that? Each one of us is unique. Each one of us is beautiful in our own way. Each one of us is entitled and deserves love and respect and kindness and opportunities to live a life of meaning and purpose and fulfillment. So may God continue to bless all who are connected with Dreams with Wings and Wiggle Wow. And again, thank you for being with us tonight. And I also want to thank, a special thanks to Avery Kohlers, because I must admit, until Avery told me about Disability Pride Month, I did not know that there was a month that it was designed to pay respect to and honor the members of our community with disabilities. So thank you, Avery, for enlightening us and helping bring tonight into fruition. Thank you. At this time in our service, we're going to call to mind our loved ones who are in need of prayers of healing of body, mind, or spirit. Tonight our prayers are with Lev Dickerman, Teresa Todd, Jim Todd, Rivka Bat-Frimit, Lisa Duval, Leela Wilson, Paul Tackett, LMPD officer Nick Wilt, Eric Gershkovich, who is being held illegally in a Moscow prison, Russian prison, I should say, Mick Savkovich, Al Unger, Janet Elker, Linda McCarthy, Beth Haberman. If you'd like to add the name of a loved one for us to keep in our prayers, whether you're a member or a visiting guest, please feel free to say their names aloud as my eyes meet yours. We had God to be a source of healing to our loved ones as we continue to do all that we can to be a source of comfort to them during their time of need. Our Misha Baruch prayer for healing can be found in the middle of page 253.
Misha Baruch Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Le'imotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mishe Berach Imotenu Mekor HaBracha La'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen. We continue silently with Tefillat Halev, the prayers of our own hearts. Shalom bimromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru amen.
A few announcements. We will be here tomorrow morning at 10:30 a.m. for Shabbat morning services. Everyone's welcome to join us. On Sunday, August 6th, it's our Temple Shalom Day at the J. Whether you're a member or not, you're welcome to join us for a tour and for lunch. And then at 1:30, we are having our silent disco. And the silent disco is open to all members of the community. So if you have friends that you would like to come and join, that will be in the auditorium at the JCC at 1:30. There is a fee for that, but we have flyers in the lobby. So keep that in mind. August 6th, please join us. Also, August 27th, we're going to have notices will come out in the mail, but I'm giving people a chance to mark it on your calendar in advance. August 27th, it's a Sunday, we are going to have a special congregational meeting. And then after that, we hope you'll stick around for dinner, and then a movie that called Forgiveness, an Israeli movie, that will get us into help move us into the upcoming High Holy Day season. Last but not least, if you know of someone or you yourself would like to teach at our joint religious school, which is on Sunday mornings and Wednesday afternoons, LBSY is looking for teachers, so please be in touch with Bev Weinberg. It's in our email blast, or let me know and I can help you get in touch with her. Finally, save the date. I know it's off, but again, it's never too early to plan. September 10th is September 14th is Give for Good Louisville, and Temple Shalom is one of the organizations to which you can donate. So keep that in mind. It's a great opportunity to give tzedakah. We are going to continue in the middle of page 282 with Elena Lishabeach. I ask the congregation to please rise as the ark is open. Elena Lishabeach la'adon hakol la'tekedu la'aliotze bereshit shelo asanu kigoyei haratzot
Velo samanu
k'mishpachot ha'adama shelo sam chelkenu kahem v'goralenu kechol hamonam v'anachnu korim u'mishtachavim u'modim lifnei melech malchei hamachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. 284. Teshamayim le'yosed haaretz u'moshav yekaro b'shamayim ima'al u'shchinatu zo b'gavei meromi hu Eloheinu 87. Please be seated. As we continue on the bottom of page 291. There are stars up above, so far away we only see their light long, long after the star itself is gone. And so it is with people that we loved. Their memories keep shining ever brightly, though their time with us is done. But the stars that light up the darkest night, these are the lights that guide us. As we live our days, these are the ways we remember. If you are here to recite Kaddish for a loved one, you're invited to rise when his or her name is read aloud. Tonight we remember Siegmund Benjamin, Maida Chotner, Maya Guseva, Yetta B. Hoffman, Louis Cannelstein, Honora K., Honora Sue K., Meyer Mike Unger, Stanley Wolf Sr., Bessie Meller, Robert Greenberg. Zichronam Levracha, may their memories be for a blessing, and may they rest in peace as we rise together as a congregation, reciting the Mourner's Kaddish, page 294. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, be'alma divrach yirutei v'yamlich machutei, b'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uv'izman kari v'yimeru. Amen. Yehei shmei rabba mevorach le'olam olamei olamaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei dukudasha berichu la'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran bi'alma v'yimeru. Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimeru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimeru. Amen. May the source of peace and peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved, as we say together. Please be seated. Our concluding song tonight can be found on page 341 on the bottom of the page. From the book of Isaiah, nation shall not take up sword against nation, nor shall they study war anymore. But before we sing our concluding song, I want to share this blessing that we have in Judaism. It's not a blessing that many people might know. It's not something that we say regularly or that is often taught. But the blessing is specifically designed for when we see a person with some type of disability. It's a blessing of respect. And the blessing goes like this. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam mishaneh habriut. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, ruler of the universe, who makes all creations and all creatures differently. It's been a blessing to be here with our guests tonight and with all of you. You have blessed us more than you will know. Our concluding, so thank you to Aviv. Thank you to Rich for streaming services, and thanks to all for joining us online. Lo Yisagoy.
Lo yisagoy el goy terev, lo yimedu od milchama.
Yisagoy el goy terev, lo yimedu od milchama.
Lo yisagoy el goy terev,
Lo yimedu od milchama.
lo yisagoy el goy terev, lo yimedu od milchama. Yisagoy el goy terev, lo yimedu od milchama. Lo yisagoy el goy terev, lo yimedu od milchama.
Turn to someone next to you and wish them Shabbat Shalom.